on to discuss. Our foreign affairs commentator, Douglas Herbert, is with me. And Doug, clearly then there is a growing debate about the use of the word genocide.
Yeah, and it's not an empty debate, because when you do actually term something, officially recognize it as a genocide, that carries very heavy political, moral, and legal court implications. So it's not just a word that's bandied about innocently, as a bunch of rhetoric. You're right, a bunch of people, from Zelensky to Boris Johnson in the UK, Poland's prime minister, Biden sort of opening the floodgates, calling it genocide, saying, look, I'll let the lawyers decide, but it sure seems that way to me that it's genocide. Look, it's important, first of all, before you even weigh in, people are going to fiercely disagree over whether this constitutes genocide or not. The fact of the matter is, since the UN Genocide Convention was created back in 1948, it's only recognized 3 genocides in history. The Rwandan genocide in 1994, the Srebrenica massacre in Bosnia a year later, 1995, and Cambodia under a Pol Pot regime in the late 1970s. You'd say, well, wait a second, missing are 2 universally almost recognized genocides, the Holocaust, the murder of 6 million Jews and Roma, during the Holocaust. The UN Genocide Convention hadn't been set up yet, but it does obviously meet the definition of genocide. And there's been a burning international debate, but the Armenian genocide in 1915 is also recognized by most of the international community as a genocide. That said, so why shouldn't the Ukrainian, what's going on right now in Ukraine, the atrocities, be recognized as genocide? And this is where, everyone debates it. Now, to a lot of the Ukrainians right now, and to a lot of the outside world looking in, it's almost an insult not to call it a genocide. There is a definition, and it is the deliberate killing of a large number of people from an ethnic group or a country, an entire nation. It could also be racial, religious group, with the aim, and this is key here, with the aim of destroying that community, that identity. And what a lot of the people who are saying or advocating the use of genocide term with respect to what Russia is accused of doing in Ukraine is that there was an article that ran recently in a state-controlled press agency, "What should Russia do with Ukraine?" in which the author essentially argued that there should be a de-Ukrainization, that is, wiping out the identity, that Ukraine should not exist. Ukrainians as an identity, as an entity, should not exist. He was essentially calling for liquidation of Ukrainian identity. They said, what better fits the definition? What more do you need to call the genocide than that? But still, like I said, it has a legal definition, and it's going to be ultimately the legal experts that are going to have to determine through painstaking investigations whether or not they can actually recognize this as a genocide.
And it's not just the legal definition of genocide that's currently being discussed. More broadly, there is this question of war crimes being committed in Ukraine. That's difficult to prove as well, isn't it?
It's very difficult. I mean, genocide is obviously the ultimate crime against humanity, but war crimes cases, thousands of them, some estimates running up to 5,000 to 6,000 war crimes cases have been opened right now. That is, they are under active investigation in Ukraine right now. Now, it is the Ukrainian prosecutor general, a woman named Irina Venediktova, who's been in the post a few years now. She's gained worldwide renown because she is single-handedly sort of overseeing these investigations. Let's be clear. Ukraine's prosecutor general is the only one right now empowered with the power to actually investigate these cases. She can then bring them to the national and the international community's courts, but she's the one who is overseeing those investigations. They are painstaking. They take a lot of time. In the fog of war, in the heat of war, people want instant results. They want people hauled before tribunals and courts. They want the names out there. They want people named. They want justice brought, and that's obviously understandable. This is more than just an emotional issue here. But what the lawyers then will tell you is that it takes often months, if not years, of investigations. In Ukraine, at least, there's never been a successful prosecution of war crimes over the 30 years since its independence. It's extremely difficult. And as far as bringing, you can't, it's not states that are accused of war crimes, it's individuals. So you have to directly tie individuals to war crimes, prove that they have given the orders for that atrocity. So if you're holding your breath for Vladimir Putin to be dragged before a war crimes tribunal in the next, few months or years, I would not hold your breath. It's going to be an extremely uphill battle. Some would say nigh impossible.
Douglas Herbert, thanks very much.